officials, Brandon Cruz, Steve Hanacki, and Michael Nardone. Opening tap controlled by the Penguins, Shamar Rattan-Mays. Gives to Dwayne Cohill, picked up by Demoy Hodge. Cohill, by the Akuche screen, heads to the far side right wing, makes the pass to Rattan-Mays' far sideline, throws it out front to Akuche, swings to Miles Hunter with 15 to shoot. Hunter makes the pass now to Akuche, near side left wing. Bounce pass on the backdoor cut intended for Allison. Too far out in front of him, and the Penguins' first turnover of the day.
Rob, a little bit surprising that Dwayne Cohill was the point guard in that first set for the Penguins. I'm going to put a big old asterisk next to the name of Shamar Rattan-Mays. He has got to step his game up in terms of not turning the ball over.
Vikings quickly go into Deshaun Parker in the transfer from Appalachian State. Got inside and posted up his man and scores and gets fouled. Parker, a 6'4" senior from Huber Heights, Ohio. He had a connection to Youngstown State last year. His high school teammate is former Penguin Darius Quisenberry, who now plays at Fordham. Parker started out at James Madison, where he was the 5th freshman in their school to rack up 100 assists, but could not finish on the three-point play. Misses that charity toss. Still Cleveland State with the early 2-0 lead. Rattan-Mays in the forecourt with the ball now for YSU as they cleaned up the miss. Ball goes out to Akuche. Hands off to Cohill, middle of the floor, hooked it back to Allison near side. He'll drive to the lane, through traffic, got to the basket, lost the ball off his knee and out of bounds. Two possessions, two turnovers for Youngstown State.
Yeah, and this one is not starting out the way we want for the Penguins. Obviously, the Penguins are trying to cut down their turnovers, yet they've turned it over 2 times in 2 possessions.
All right, out front, Parker with the ball, lobs now to Johnson, near side right wing, picked up by Akuche. One dribble, scoops the ball to Deshaun Parker, heads down the left of the lane, got it inside to Torrey Patton, reverse layup, no good. Rattan-Mays went to get the ball, and Patton undercut him as he hit the deck while trying that attempt at the reverse layup. So the foul on Torrey Patton, his first. And Patton will be a big key here for Cleveland State. Big physical guy, not the fastest player on the floor, but one of the smartest you'll see out there. All right, Cleveland State trying to trap the ball in the backcourt. Cohill, though, throws it up the court to Allison, makes the catch, heads down the right of lane to the basket, can't bank it in. Rebound, Akuche turns, forced it back up on the rim, couldn't get it to fall. Tap won't go, and the rebound to Johnson of Cleveland State. Clears to Parker, fires it up the floor to Gomillion. Gomillion finds Patton far sideline, back to Gomillion. Dribbling at the top of the lane now against Allison. Into the lane. Lost the ball on the way up. Picked up by Johnson. In the lane for Cleveland State. In a bit of trouble. Clears it out to Patton now with 15 to shoot. By the screen to the left wing. Comes back to the top of the lane. To the right of the lane. Shoots the short jumper and put it in over Allison. Torrey Patton comes in averaging 13.7 rebounds a game for Cleveland State, which leads 4-0.
CSU once again putting some backcourt pressure, easily broken by the Penguins.
A little bit more than 2 minutes into the game. Cohill down the right of the lane for Youngstown State. Gives to Allison alone near corner 3. In and out, no good. Rebound, Cohill underneath. Pump fakes. He takes the shot, has it blocked. Comes out to Parker of Cleveland State. Throws it ahead to Patton through traffic. Behind the back dribble, lost it, and will go out of play. That was thanks to Shamar Rattan-Mays, who kind of stepped in the way of Torrey Patton and forced him to try and go behind the back, and he couldn't control the dribble.
Yeah, now solid defense by Shamar Rattan-Mays. Right place, right time, as you mentioned, Rob. The turnover was a mental error for Cleveland State.
Again, they pick up pressure in the backcourt. Rattan-Mays being trapped by Parker and Gomillion. Ball taken away. Rattan-Mays looked like he got poked in the eye. In the meantime, Cleveland State with the ball, but Hodge missed the 3 from the left wing, and then Rattan-Mays recovers and grabs the miss, still rubbing his eye. Ball goes to Cohill, right to the basket. Tried to take the shot and bank it in, but could not do so. Comes a little bit too hard off of the glass. Yet a foul against Trey Gomillion of Cleveland State.
I want to see if they get the 2 points, because it sure did look like there was some goaltending there.
Well, they're not going to call that, as Deontay Johnson went up trying to block that shot away. 17-17 to go in the opening half. At the line for Youngstown State is Dwayne Cohill, an 85% free throw shooter. First one for him is good. Comes in averaging 9.5 points, 4 rebounds a game for the Penguins.
As fans finally getting an opportunity to sit down.
With that, Daniel Ogora will come in now for Youngstown State to replace Shamar Rattan-Mays. Team trainer Sean Bailey will take a look at him. Cohill's next free throw goes straight through. He has now made 12 consecutive charity tosses. And YSU trails 4-2.
And I would certainly do some backcourt pressure now if I were Cleveland State.
Gomillion in the forecourt with it for the Vikings. Gives to Johnson, who swings it to Hodge near sideline. Pushes it topside to Patton, lobs to Deontay Johnson. Top the lane on Akuche, makes the pass to Gomillion near side of the floor. 14 to shoot. Pull up three for Gomillion's off to the right, no good. Rebound Akuche. Not really his shot. Only 8 of 20 now from beyond the arc as Allison gets to the basket on Gomillion. Tough attempt, and he left short, but drew the contact and got another foul to be called against Trey Gomillion of Cleveland State. That's going to be his second. And for the Vikings, team foul number 3. 16:50 to go in the opening half. Tevin Allison of YSU will go to the free throw line, where he is an 82% free throw shooter for the season. Against the league, 77%. Allison line to the left. First of 2 for him, off the back of the rim, no good. Penguins as a team shooting just under 74% from the line. Better against the league, though, at 82%. For Cleveland State, they've got to take Gomillion out of the lineup. Yaheel Hill will come in, 6-foot senior out of Cleveland. Allison trying to split the free throws now. Averaging 12 points, 4.5 rebounds a game this year. Pushed the second one up, pushed that one in for his first point, and YSU is now down 1 at 4-3. All right, Parker into the forecourt with it for CSU. Stops, gives to Johnson, middle of the floor. Scoops the ball back to Parker. Around the screen, right wing, pass to Patton. Getting by Hunter to the right baseline, to the basket, goes up strong and scores off the glass. That's what Torrey Patton can do. Physical basketball player.
Yeah, and he used his body to his advantage, Rob. He knew he had the baseline. He used his body as a weapon, was able to separate the defender and get the easy bucket.
Cohill gives to Hunter left wing. Trying to get loose down the left of the lane. Going to spin to the baseline. Take the fade away. Can't get it to fall. Rebounded to Deshaun Parker of Cleveland State. Fires it up the floor to Demoy Hodge. He'll take it to the basket. Left the runner short. Rebound batted around. Johnson trying to grab it, and in turn he is fouled. Give the foul to Miles Hunter of Youngstown State. His first of the day. Penguins first as a team. They'll go to the bench. Hunter will come out of the lineup, and his place will be taken by Chris Shelton, a 6'4" junior from Louisa, Virginia. All right, non-shooting foul. So Parker will inbound from the right baseline for Cleveland State. Ball comes out to Patton. Makes the catch on Ogoro. 16 minutes to go in the first half. Patton down the right of the lane. Tried to make the pass to Hill. He's joined by Cohill, Ogoro, Shelton, and Akuche. Cohill coming up the floor against Hill. Cleveland State will drop back defensively now. Cohill out front. Pressed into service as the point guard because Luke Chacon's out with a hand injury. Pass inside to Akuche, batted away and stolen by Cleveland State's Deshaun Parker. He'll take it into the forecourt for the Vikings, top of the lane. Backs off now on Akuche. Ball handed off to Hodge. Heads to the top lane, gives to Hill, who will hand off to Patton. 15 to shoot. Patton in the circle, makes the pass to Hill now. Right wing, long three for him. Is in and out, no good. Rebound pulled down by Chris Shelton of Youngstown State. Penguins still looking for their first field goal to be made of the day. Ball comes out to Akuche, right wing. Swings to Ogoro. He'll drive right baseline. Whip it out to a wide open Akuche for 3. Off the front of the rim, no good. Rebound. Winds up with Yaheel Hill of Cleveland State. Throws it up the floor now. Patton goes to the baseline. Underneath the basket, trying to get off a tough shot. Cannot do so. Pushed it out to Hill. Left wing 3 for him. This time on the other side of the floor is no good. And then the fight for the rebound leads to a foul against Cleveland State.
Outstanding box out job by the Penguins. Cleveland State trying to get the offensive rebound, and they're going to be called for the foul.
Against Deontay Johnson, his first. With that, Cleveland State will bring in Brock Finstoon, a 6'4" senior from Pine Island, Minnesota. Torrey Patton will sit down.
One thing we know about the Penguins, they do know how to rebound, and part of that rebounding is the fact they box out exceptionally well.
Cohill into the forecourt, gives to Allison. Working near side left wing, bounce to Akuche, left of the lane against Johnson. Steps to the three-point line. Got to make a pass here. 15 to shoot. Ball given to Shelton out front. Open quick 3. Off the rim, no good. Rebound controlled by Hill, and the Penguins have missed their first 8 shots of the day. Hill into the forecourt, gives to Hodge. Alley-oop to Johnson. Makes the tough catch, loses the ball out of play and out of bounds. Now that was one too many passes that time around by Cleveland State. Looked like Hodge had an opening for a jumper and decided to make the alley-oop attempt.
You know, Cleveland State has had a very sloppy first half, and unfortunately, Rob, the Penguins have not been able to take advantage of it.
Cohill into the forecourt, gives to Daniel Ogoro, middle of the floor. Ogoro now against Hodge, runs to the left baseline, stops left of the lane, got it to Shelton, near sideline 3, going to be short. Rebound, grabbed by Ogoro though, bounces to Shelton, left wing again for 3. Bang, bang. Chris Shelton finally with a 3 there. He's shooting 35% from out there. Did not hit one against Purdue Fort Wayne Friday. That snapped a string of 8 straight games with at least 1 3. The Penguins finally break through and tie the game with their first made field goal, even at 6 now. Out front, Finstoon working hard for Cleveland State. Pushed off on Akuche, got away with it. Got the ball to Parker, far sideline. Parker by Johnson, screen with 5 to shoot. Around the 3-point line, pull up for him. Jumper's no good. Long rebound, run down by Deontay Johnson of Cleveland State. Throws it underneath the Finstoon, who saves it down low to Sean Parker, who scores and draws the foul. That's what we talked about. 50-50 balls will be big here today. Got to match each other's excitable level. So the foul on Akuche, his first of the day. And Deshaun Parker looking to complete yet another 3-point opportunity. Missed on his first chance after scoring and then missing the free throw.
CSU flying all over the place in that possession, Rob. Bodies everywhere. They're just looking to get a bucket, and they were rewarded.
Patton in for Johnson. In the meantime, Parker flips up the free throw attempt and got that to go through for his 5th point. Comes in averaging 5 points, 3 assists for Cleveland State. And they now lead 9-6. Bertan Mays back in for the Penguins, replacing Dwayne Cohill. Works out front on Hill, near sideline. Tried to make the handoff to Shelton, couldn't do so. Still hung on to the ball. Hooks it now to Akuche, near side of the floor. Pushes it out front to Ogoro with 10 to shoot. Ogoro looking to penetrate on Finstoon. Cannot do so. Pass to Ollison. Back out to Ogoro with 5 to shoot. He'll now drive down the left of the lane. Throw it up and in and get fouled. Daniel Ogoro with good strength there to maintain possession and finish. Fouled on the play by Brock Finstoon. Finstoon, the transfer from Pacific, has his first foul. And Daniel Ogoro with a chance to tie. 6'5" redshirt sophomore from London, England, heads to the line, where he is just a 38.5% free throw shooter. Line to the left, first one for him, no good. He's now missed 9 straight charity tosses for the Penguins, who trail 9-8. In the meantime, Finstoon goes to the hole, and Ollison stripped him, and then Finstoon had the ball ricochet off his knee and out of bounds. So the Penguins take over with a good job defensively.
Finstoon thought he was fouled. Looked over at the referee, and the referee says, no, the ball's off your knee.
Yeah. Finstoon comes out obviously frustrated as Trey Gomillion returns for Cleveland State. Less than 13 minutes to go in the opening half. Ogoro has the ball for YSU right wing. Pushes it now to Akuche, back out front to Ogoro. Shelton wants it. He'll cut to the baseline. Ogoro will come to the near sideline with the dribble against Patton. Out front to Bertan Mays near the top of the lane. 10 to shoot. Bertan Mays gives to Akuche, shy of the foul line. Gives to Shelton, far sideline 3. That one rimmed out to Torrey Patton of Cleveland State, which maintains a 9-8 advantage. And then Ogoro fouls Patton in the backcourt. Senseless foul by Daniel Ogoro, who rode him just a little bit too hard defensively.
Yeah, you just, look, I mean, it's one thing to play some solid defense. You can't ride a guy down the court. You're going to get called for a foul.
Gomillion coming back out for Cleveland State. Deontay Johnson returns for YSU. Owen Long will be inserted into the game for the first time. Long, a 6'1" junior from Sykeston, Missouri. He will spell Chris Shelton. With that, Deshaun Parker will sit down for CSU. Jason Woodridge, a 6'7" sophomore from Beechwood, Ohio, will take his spot.
I got to believe Coach Gates understood Gomillion had 2 fouls. I was going to say, you go right at that kid if he's still on the floor with 2 fouls.
I think he needed to give Johnson some moments on the bench just to catch his breath.
Sure.
Johnson takes the feed from Hill in the forecourt. Fakes the handoff to Hodge, now gives to Hill. Left wing looking to drive. Step back, 17-footer for him, rimmed out, no good. Ball on the floor, grabbed by Woodridge of Cleveland State. Got it to Hill, out front to Patton. Patton looking to drive. To the left of the lane, working in on Ogoro. Pumps, turns, goes up and under. Ball hit the rim underneath, but there is Spider Johnson to follow it up with his first basket of the day, and Cleveland State leads 11-8. Bertan Mays runs by Hill, makes the pass in the corner to Ollison. His three's up, on the rim, no good. And the rebound to Woodridge of Cleveland State. Woodridge, a good 3-point shooter for the Vikings, working near side against Long. Gets the ball out front to Hill. The senior standing near the center circle. Makes the pass to Johnson with 15 to shoot. Johnson top of the lane on Ogoro. Gives to Hill right wing. Down the right of the lane on Rattan Mays. Bounce pass to the cutting Demoy Hodge, who scores off the glass.
That's a great job by Des Moines Hodge, cutting to the basket without the ball.
Cleveland State now with a 5-point lead, its largest advantage of the game so far. Penguins looking to counter. Long off the left baseline, shoots, can't get it to go. Ball rimmed out, and the rebound tapped out to Hill of the Vikings. Gives to Hodge, far sideline, feeds Johnson in the lane, working on the double team of Ogoro and Akuche. Ball comes out to Patton, right wing, pushed up the three. That's not his shot. Too hard off the back of the rim, and the rebound to Rattan Mays of the Penguins. Fires ahead to Ogoro. Comes near sideline, bounce to Akuche. Fumble the pass, cannot save it on the baseline. Turnovers as compared to 4 by Cleveland State, which will get the ball off the timeout. Ball comes into Deshaun Parker, who returns to the Vikings lineup. Parker across the timeline, guarded by Rattan Mays. Stops left wing, ball lobbed out front to Deontay Johnson, picked up by Will Dunn. Ball scooped out of Patton at the foul line. Dunn quickly on him defensively. Patton bounced the ball out front to Parker, who outran Rattan Mays to the ball. Parker at the foul line now. Got it to Hodge, almost taken away by Cohill. 6 to shoot, out front Woodridge. From midcourt, let loose with the 3, missed it, and the rebound swatted all the way out to Woodridge. Cleveland State with a chance to reset its offense. Woodridge, with Long stepping up on him defensively, gives the ball to Johnson. Now throws to Hodge, far sideline. 10 to shoot. Hodge in front of the Penguins bench, got it to Johnson. Down the left of the lane on Ogoro, 5 to shoot. Makes the pass to Woodridge, 3 to shoot. Near sideline for 3, left it short, but he's fouled by Owen Long. Twice, Cleveland State was bailed out on last-second shots to beat the shot clock. 1 on offensive rebound, 2nd a foul. The infraction against Owen Long, his first. Jason Woodridge will get 3 free throws. For the season, a 64% free throw shooter. Pushed the first one up and in, but he's now 5 of 5 against the league this year from the line. And Cleveland State's lead now has reached 6. Woodridge again. 2nd of 3, bouncing around, fell off the rim. Woodridge, like a lot of basketball players, very smart individual. Last spring was placed on Cleveland State's Dean's List. He'll try to make 2 out of 3 here as both teams make substitution. Miles Hunter in for Youngstown State to replace Owen Long for Cleveland State. Anderson Murambo, a 6'8 junior from Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, comes in. Murambo replacing Deontay Johnson. Next free throw for Woodridge is in and out, no good. Missing 2 of the 3, and the Penguins grab the 2nd miss.
Down the road, if this is a close game and Woodridge is on the floor, you want to foul him. He's got a hitch in his free throw shot.
Now Cohill has the ball for YSU. Makes the pass now to Ogoro near sideline. Left wing, back out front to Cohill. Pushes it back to the Penguins. Ogoro gives to Cohill down the right of the lane. Hooks it up wildly over the basket. I don't know if he was trying to throw that to Will Dunn or not, but he got fouled while taking that attempt. He's got 2 free throws now as a result of that.
Yeah, that was a gamble. It was a big-time gamble on Cohill's part because if the referee doesn't call the foul, that looks really ugly.
Foul assessed to Deshaun Parker. It places Cohill at the line where he's 2 of 2 today. Cohill, line to the left. Powers that one through. Coming off a 10.5 rebound performance in Friday's loss to Purdue Fort Wayne. Ends Cleveland State's run of 5 consecutive points. Cohill again, good again. Continues to stay perfect against the league now, having made all 15 of his free throws this season. Penguins down 14-10. They'll drop back defensively. Torrey Patton out front with the ball for the Vikings. Gives to Woodridge. Finds Parker. Lob down low to Murambo. Too tall for him. Taken away by Cohill of Youngstown State. Down the left of the lane against Patton to the basket. Laid it in. Dwayne Cohill now with 6. He's been averaging about 12 field goal attempts over the last 3 games. He's got to start converting more of those like he did there as Patton runs into the forecourt for the Vikings, knocks Ogoro to the ground, and it'll be an offensive foul against Cleveland State.
Some momentum for Youngstown State. I'll tell you what, Cohill on that pass, he went off his defender, knew the ball was going to go over the head of the intended receiver, grabbed the ball, went coast to coast for the layup. That starts a chain event where the Penguins now have a little bit of momentum.
Murambo and Patton will sit down for Cleveland State. For Torrey Patton, his 2nd foul. Hill comes in for the Vikings along with Johnson. Rattan Mays in the forecourt with it for the Penguins, working on Hill right of the lane. Gets into the paint, throws up the fadeaway, no good. Rebound, batted away. Will Dunn grabs it, gives it Cohill. Near side 3, got it! Dwayne Cohill was just 1 of 8 from beyond the arc in his last 3 games, just 2 of 11 from distance against the league. He's got 9 points in the first half, and the Penguins have their first lead of the day at 15-14. And then a takeaway, but the ball will go out of play as Cohill and Dunn went at it at the same time and couldn't save the ball.
Well, Jared Calhoun is looking really, really smart right now, bringing Will Dunn into this ball game. He has been an A-plus spark plug for the Penguins.
Right now, YSU in the midst of a 7-0 run to lead for the first time this afternoon. 8:37 to go. Cleveland State will get the ball. Parker will inbound from the far sideline to Deontay Johnson. Done on him. Ball scooped now to Yaheel Hill. Hands off to Parker. 8:30 to go in the first half. Ball thrown in the corner to Hodge. Three-pointer is short. Rebound Johnson underneath the basket. And he stepped out of bounds.
Yeah, he stepped on the baseline, Rob.
And again, there was Will Dunn to contest him as soon as he grabbed that miss.
Well, Will Dunn made up for a mistake that he made. He didn't box out very well, but he cleared off the baseline, forcing the CSU player to touch that baseline.
Penguins up by 1 in the forecourt with the ball. Ogoro going to work to the left side. Give to Cohill on Parker, left of the lane. 6-footer up, 6-footer on the rim, no good. Rebound controlled, though, by Deontay Johnson of Cleveland State. Got it to Hodge, ahead to Hill now. Hill into the lane, lost the ball, knocked away by Rattan Mace. Grabbed by Dunn to Hunter now. Miles Hunter into the lane, on the run, going to get called into the basketball off the held ball, trailing 15-14. Deshaun Parker will come up the floor now for the Vikings against Agoro. Pushes it to Tamoy Hodge, far sideline. Hodge goes around the Johnson screen to the left baseline as he goes to the basket. A foul has been called. I'll give it to the Penguins, Will Dunn. So Dunn, a 6'8 sophomore from Quincy, Michigan, has his first foul. Did not play Friday in the game against Purdue-Fort Wayne. In the meantime, Cleveland State inserts Chris Green into the game. 6'8 senior out of Newport News, Virginia, replacing Yaheel Hill. So Parker now from the right baseline lobs the ball out to Green. Makes the catch far sideline, working the left wing on Ogoro, goes by the Johnson screen. Right wing, inside the three-point line, quickly shoots left it short off the front of him. Rebound comes out to Will Dunn of Youngstown State. Chris Green, scoreless in his last 4 games, had missed his last 5 field goal attempts. They were all threes. I'm sure Dennis Gates didn't want to see him come right in and take his first shot 15 seconds into the game. Rattan Mays in the meantime for 3. Got it to go. Rattan Mays from the near side of the floor with a big 3 for him. Shooting 43% from outside the arc. Penguins' third 3 of the half. They now lead 18-14. In the meantime, Deshaun Parker working against Rattan Mays. Turns, got the shot to fall as he went to the baseline from the right of the lane. Ends the Penguins' run of 9 unanswered points.
Yeah, and Parker with a big advantage in the paint, Rob. 6'4" versus the 5'11" Rattan Mays.
Twice he's gone at him now, and twice it's worked as Rattan Mays goes baseline. Got it to Agoro, finds Cohill out front to a wide open Miles Hunter for 3. Bang, bang. Miles Hunter was just 2 of 18 from beyond the arc in his last 11 games. Only 1 of 9 from outside the arc against the league. He's got a 3. The Penguins' 4th as they start to heat up, now leading 21-16.
Ball movement, ball movement, ball movement.
Green down the right of the lane against Agoro, stumbled to the basket. Looked like he traveled and was able to hang in there long enough to score his first 2. Green now just 2 of 8 from the field against the league, but he is not shy from shooting as Miles Hunter goes baseline after getting a nice feed on the play and then getting fouled while going for the shot attempt. Foul will be given to Jason Woodrich. And with that, Miles Hunter sent to the stripe. Hunter line to the left. Hunter averaging 5 points, 3 rebounds a game for the Penguins. For the season, a 60% free throw shooter. These are his first charity tosses against the league, and his first one's good. With that, Michael Akuche returns for Youngstown State, replacing Will Dunn. For Cleveland State, Woodrich will sit down as Torrey Hunter is brought in with 2 fouls.
Will Dunn getting a nice round of applause from those behind the YSU bench.
Miles Hunter's next charity toss goes in. He now has 5 points. That's the most he has scored against the league so far this season, exceeding the 4 he had earlier this year against Oakland. Penguins regain the 5-point lead now as we approach 6 minutes left to play in the half. Patton out front with it for the Vikings. Gives to Deontay Johnson. Fakes the pass to Green, gives to Pat at the foul line. Stops in the lane, turning on Ogoro. Makes the pass out to Green. Green by the Patton screen, down the left of the lane. Runs in on Ogoro, who fouled him again. So Daniel Ogoro, who's had problems this year in foul trouble, coming into the game, he had more fouls than assists and rebounds combined. Ogoro now with 2 fouls today. Previously against the league, he had 14 fouls and a combined total of 7 assists and rebounds. So he's got to cut down on that number as he checks out of the game for the Penguins, giving way to Tevin Ollison. At the line will be Chris Green. He's been busy while checking into the game for the first time. A 67% free throw shooter, powers through that first one. Green now with 3 points. Johnson will sit down for Cleveland State. Mabor Majak, a 7'2" sophomore from South Sudan, will come in for his first tour of duty. Next one for Green, hit the front of the rim and missed. Splits the pair. Youngstown State grabbed the miss. They lead 23-19 with the ball.
And Rob, Cleveland State 3 of 7 from the free throw line here in the first half.
Cohill dribbling for Youngstown State, makes the pass to an open Akuche against Majak. Forced one up, and the sophomore from the South Sudan comes up with his second block of the season. Patton now with the ball in the forecourt, working on Hunter down the right of the lane, and a foul out front on the YSU sophomore Miles Hunter. So Hunter now with 2 fouls. So the Penguins and Cleveland State both over the limit here. Free throws for the remaining 5.5 minutes of our first half as Demoy Hodge will check out of Cleveland State's lineup along with Chris Green. Well, they're going to keep Green on the floor. He's just talking to the coaching staff. Hill replacing Hodge for the Vikings in the meantime. 1-1 here for Torrey Patton. 73% free throw shooter. Pushes the first one up off the back of the rim. No good. Rebound to the Penguins. Tevin Ollison. Here comes YSU into the forecourt, up 4. Ratan Mays out front on Hill at the center circle. Gives to Cohill. Bounce pass to Hunter. Turns, shoots. Can't get it to fall off the back of the rim. Comes out to Hill of Cleveland State. Throws the ball to the trailer. Patton now. Dribbling near sideline. Tried to make a handoff. Taken away by Hunter. Working on Parker to the left end of the floor. Scoops the basketball to Ratan Mays. Scooped it up and in. Shamar Ratan Mays now with 5 points. The Penguins turn the turnover into points, something they had not been doing as of late.
Good look by Hunter. Found Ratan Mays all alone.
Less than 5 to play in the half. Hill from the far sideline. Jacks the 3. Missed it off the back of the rim. Rebound off the hands of Green. Went to Hill. Clears the ball to Parker. Whips it down low to Majak. Right of the lane. Hooked it up. Left it short. Rebound. Grabbed by Hunter of YSU. Clears to Ollison. Up the far sideline. Cuts to the middle of the floor. Continues to the near side and finds Ratan Mays. Penguins on top by 6. Their largest lead of the afternoon. Ollison alone. Near corner 3. Got it! Tevin Ollison is Youngstown State. Cleveland State, though, will get the ball as play resumes. Penguins right now in the midst of a 20-5 run, having grabbed this 9-point lead. Parker gives the ball to Hill, dribbling left wing. Got it to Parker near side of the floor. Throws back to Hill to the left side. Can't get off a shot just yet. Penguins try to trap him, force the turnover. Ball on the floor. Majak trying to get it for Cleveland State. Pushed his man out of the way and commits the foul. Mabor Majak with his first foul of the day, and that will lead to free throws for the Penguins.
Youngstown State employing a very active 1-3-1 zone defense right there. That's the first time I've seen it in this home season, Rob.
And that free throw to be attempted by Tevin Ollison could help Youngstown State reach a double-figure lead. Ollison with 4 points so far, coming off the 3 that he just made, and he nails the front end of the 1-1. Ollison now with 5 points and a half, 2 of 3 from the stripe. Penguins leading by 10. In the meantime, Jason Woodridge returns for Cleveland State. Mabor Majak will sit down. Ollison again lined to the left. Next free throw, straight through. Made them both. Penguins lead 30-19 with under 4 minutes to go now in our first half of play. And out front, Deshaun Parker gives the ball to Woodridge, far sideline. Green's in, makes the catch middle of the floor on Akuche. Ball thrown to Hill now, right wing. Out front to Torrey Patton. Gets by the screen. He'll drive into the lane on the run, scoops it up to it off the glass. Rebound to Green. And as he is falling to the floor, an official's whistle here. Miles Hunter was on the court. And I think they've got him for the foul, and they do. Nothing he could do about that. Still, it's his third foul now, and Miles Hunter is going to have to come out of the game. Daniel Lagoro waiting to check in for Youngstown State.
Now the Penguins have some potential issues because Ogoro, coming back into the game, has 2 fouls.
Chris Green, in the meantime, sent to the free throw line where he's 1 of 2 today. Green again coming in, averaging only 3 points a game to go with 1 rebound to contest. In the 2 games last year against Cleveland State, or against Youngstown State, he averaged 6.5 points as he misfires on yet another free throw. And the rebound to the Penguins, who are up 11, having scored 7 straight points. Rattan Mays in the forecourt now. So we approach 3 minutes left to play in the first half. Rattan Mays near side of the floor. Chased by Hill, gives to Akuche. Trying to make the pass to a cutting Cohill, batted into the air by Green, and he pulls it down for the Vikings. Gives to Woodridge. Dribbling left wing. Trying to get open for a 3. Pushes the ball to Hill instead. Near side of the floor, guarded by Rattan Mays. Ball lobbed to Green. Near side on Cohill. Green knocked him to the floor and commits the charge. Dwayne Cohill stood his ground. He got the brunt of that contact, but was able to draw the turnover as Chris Green is called for the charge, his first foul of the afternoon.
Yeah, there's no Academy Award-winning performance there. That was a legit, he got knocked to the ground, and he got knocked down hard, Rob.
Now Johnson, Finstoon, Hodge, all checking in now for Cleveland State. Patton will come out, Green will check out, Woodridge will go to the Vikings bench. 3:03 to play in the first half. YSU leading 30-19 with the ball. Pass comes into Rattan Mays. Hill will back off defensively, backpedaling into the forecourt. Rattan Mays near side of the floor, gives to Akuche. Swings the pass to Cohill, far sideline. Cohill finds an open Ollison. Right side, mid-range jumper, can't get it to fall. A rebound controlled by Brock Finstoon of Cleveland State. Throws ahead to Hodge, near sideline to the right wing. Makes the pass now to Hill, right baseline. Underneath the basket, goes up strong, can't get his rudder to fall. Rebound comes out to Cohill of YSU. Heads to the left end of the floor through traffic. Makes the pass now to Ollison, but he can't flag it down, and it's off his hands and out of bounds.
And Cohill really disgusted with himself because he had a wide open player on the baseline. They were going to take another 3 from that baseline, and he threw the ball out of bounds.
2.5 to play before the break. Yeah, Hill coming up the floor now. Transfer from Tallahassee Community College in Florida. Hill stops middle of the floor, gives the ball to Deontay Johnson. Working left wing. Makes the handoff now to Hill. They play a little bit of peekaboo here. Hill, left of the lane, 6-footer up, left it short, but was fouled in the process by Shamar Rattan Mays. That'll be his first of the day. Free throws coming for Yahil Hill. He's got 2 on his way. It's 2 against Rattan Mays. Nonetheless, Hill steps to the line. Hill, a 77% free throw shooter for Cleveland State. 71% against the league, buries that first one. That's his first point today. Had 12 points and 1 assist in the win Friday at Robert Morris. Hill again, line to the right. That one's on the money. 2 big free throws for the Vikings. Stops the Penguins' run of 7 unanswered points. And Cleveland State trails 30-21. Penguins find Akuche in the far corner. He'll dribble to the foul line, pass it out to Dwayne Cohill. By Akuche. Cohill on the 3-point line, gives the ball to Ollison near sideline. Step back for 3. Good! Tevin Ollison's second 3. He now has 9 first half points, and YSU's lead goes to 33-21. Under 2 minutes to play in the first half. Deshaun Parker down the right of the lane, bumped and fouled on his way to the basket by Tevin Ollison. That will stop play, as Ollison has his first foul of the day. He fouled out of the game Friday against Purdue-Fort Wayne. This infraction will now place Deshaun Parker back at the line where he's 1 of 2 this afternoon. Parker with 7 points overall.
Well, one of the things the Penguins are going to definitely have to do at halftime is adjust to what the officials have been calling a lot of touchy fouls. So make the adjustment at halftime.
Parker makes the first one, looking for his 9th point of the game now. He's got it, making them both. His best game against the league so far has been against Wright State when he had 10 points. Gets his team to within 10 here. Coming up on a minute and a half left before the break. Rattan Mays at midcourt. Gets by Hill along the far sideline through traffic to the basket. Going to scoop it up and in himself. Shamar Rattan Mays with 7 points. YSU gets the lead back to a dozen. Into the forecourt now. Finstoon gets by the Johnson screen to the foul line. 15-footer for him. Off to the left, no good. Rebound. Hodge turns, shoots, and scores off the glass. Demoy Hodge with 4 points. And Dwayne Cohill slow to his feet here.
I think Cohill got smacked in the nose on the offensive rebound here.
Now he got on the way back up.
Yeah.
Hodge was trying to go back up after grabbing that rebound. So Cohill's going to stay on the floor. 1:14 to play here in the half. YSU leading 35-25. Cleveland State going to pick up some pressure now. Rattan Mays up the floor. Shadowed by Parker and Hill, gives it to Akuche far sideline. Back out front to Rattan Mays, 20 to shoot for the Penguins, a minute left in the first half. Rattan Mays, center of the floor, walks to the near side. Cleveland State in a 2-3 zone. Rattan Mays with 10 to shoot, gives the ball to Cohill right wing, back to Rattan Mays. Picked up by Parker, 5 to shoot, ball thrown to Akuche in the lane. Gonna kick it out to Ogoro, gotta hurry. Ogoro tried to push it up before the shot clock expired and could not do so. Cleveland State zone gives Youngstown State problems, and now the Vikings get it with 43.7 seconds to go before the half. And this is a big series right now of these next 40 seconds to see who grabs the momentum going into the locker room. Parker with it for Cleveland State out front. Hands off to Finstoon. Runs into Agoro, throws up the runner, left it short, got his own miss, pushed it back up, left it short again. And then the ball grabbed by Ollison. He tried to save it, but his pass hit underneath the backboard, and the ball will be handed back to Cleveland State. They'll put 20 on the shot clock. 26.6 seconds to go in the first half. Vikings have the ball down 10. All right, Deshaun Parker will throw it in play from the right baseline. Parker lobs it into Finstoon. Makes the bounce pass now to Hodge. Alley-oop to Deontay Johnson, who catches and scores off the glass. Deontay Johnson with 4. Penguins have that from the right baseline. He's hit 2 threes so far for the Penguins. Ball comes into Rattan Mays, back to Ollison. Throws to Cohill, still in the backcourt. Bounce to Ollison. Fires ahead to Rattan Mays, who brings it into the forecourt. 10 seconds to go in the half. Ball fed back to Cohill, 8 seconds to go. Cohill near side of the floor, looking at his zone, 5 seconds to shoot. To Akuche near sideline, going to elevate for 3. No good off the back of the rim. Rebound to Hodge, and that is the Atten. Deontay Johnson, Demoy Hodge, and Trey Gomillion. Rattan Mays into the forecourt against Parker. Throws the ball near sideline to Cohill. Goes baseline. 8-footer goes up and in for Dwayne Cohill, who scored all 10 of his points Friday in the first half against Fort Wayne and did not score the rest of the way. Had 9 points in the first half today, but now reaches double figures for the 8th time this season, now with 11 points. Cleveland State's first possession of the second half. They go into Gomillion, right of the lane against Ollison. Turns, shoots, forced it up and in off the glass. Trey Gomillion was shut out in the first half. He came in averaging just under 10 points a game for Cleveland State this season, but 15 against the league. Gets his team's deficit back to single figures. Akuche out front now with it for Youngstown State. Dribbling to the near side of the floor. Throws to Cohill sideline. Cohill picked up by Hodge. Works to the foul line, into the lane. Makes the pass out to Rattan Mays. Left wing 3. Bounced off the rim, no good. Rebound underneath on the floor. Hunter grabs it for the Penguins. Cleveland State trying to tie him up, and they do so, and they'll get the ball. Possession arrow pointing in favor of CSU. Played roughly 1 minute of the second half, and we've traded baskets so far.
That's a good look by Shamar Rattan Mays. Obviously, you ought to hit those shots, but that was a solid look.
Gomillion with the ball for Cleveland State, far sideline. He is their catalyst. Throws the ball to Hodge, gives to Parker near sideline. Out to Hodge, top of the lane. He can get hot quick. 3-pointer up and in. Demoy Hodge now with 7 points. Last year against YSU, he was only 2 of 8 from beyond the arc. And Cleveland State now trails 37-32. they can strike back quickly. Hodge has that ability, his first 3 of the day. Penguins looking to counter now. Cohill left wing. On Gomillion down the left of the lane. Stops, going to force up the short jumper and score. Tevin Ollison in double figures now for the 11th time this season. He has now scored double figures in all 6 Horizon League games this year for Youngstown State. 11 points today for the transfer out of the Cumberlands. Vikings back the other way now, inside. Deontay Johnson, after the pump fake, goes in and scores and then gets fouled on the play by Michael Akuche of YSU, who just picked up his second. Deontay Johnson now with 6 points. He'll be sent to the line for the first time this afternoon. 6'9" senior out of Detroit is a 71% free throw shooter.
Well, Johnson did a really nice job getting behind Michael Akuche. Once he got the ball, it was easy pickings.
Missed the free throw, though, and the rebound tapped all the way down the floor where Torrey Patton will run it down for the Vikings. But now I think they may rule, is it over and back here? No, they're going to keep it with Cleveland State shot clock. Yeah, that's what it was. The shot clock stopped play there. I was going to say, I thought he could run down the floor and grab that tip, and he did. So Cleveland State has the ball. 2 minutes into the second half, they trail by 5. Gomillion out front on Ollison. Gives to Hodge. Finds Parker near sideline. Parker goes by the Johnson screen. He got the pass in the pick and roll and hammers in 2. Deontay Johnson now with 8. Cleveland State has come out with a much different look. They trailed 39-36 after they had trailed by 12 in the first half. Rattan Mays now out front with it. Vikings going to settle into a zone. Ball thrown to Cohill, far sideline. Back out to Rattan Mays. By Akuche screen, he gets the pass. Standing right wing. One dribble. Feeds to Rattan Mays left wing, 8 to shoot. Rattan Mays finds Hunter open, right wing, 4-3. That's going to be an air ball grabbed by Akuche, who hits the reverse side layup. Michael Akuche with his first 2 points of the day for the Penguins, who now lead 41-36.
Now the Penguins are going to have to do some adjusting on the fly defensively.
Hodge far sideline again for 3, good again. Demoy Hodge now in double figures for the 11th time this season. In his last 2 games, he was only 1 of 7 from beyond the arc, but you can see how quickly he can get it rolling. His second 3 here in this half. Cleveland State now trails 41-39. See if the Penguins can counter. Cohill to the left of the lane, stopped, mid-range jumper, floated it in. Cohill now with 13 points. His best game against the league came at Green Bay when he rang up 15. Penguins lead goes to 4, 16 and a half minutes to play in the contest. Patton in the forecourt gives to Hodge of Cleveland State. Cohill knocked the ball loose and out of bounds.
Rob, I would have put a little bit of pressure in the backcourt. Force Cleveland State to spend a little time in the backcourt, cut some time off of that 30-second shot clock.
All right, Parker will inbound from the far sideline. Gets it into Deontay Johnson. Right back to Parker. Working out front, 15 on the shot clock. Ball pushed to Johnson, right wing. Bounce to Gomillion, right of the lane. Gomillion backing in on Ollison. Pump fakes, takes the short shot. No good off the back of the rim. Rebound, tapped out by Ollison, but right to Hodge. Open for 3. That one rimmed out. Then the fight for the rebound leads to a foul against Cleveland State. They're going to give it to Trey Gomillion, and that's his 3rd. So Gomillion trying to get on track in this game. Limited because of foul trouble. Talking to the official why he picked up his 3rd.
Well, that was just an outstanding job of boxing out by the Penguins. We made mention of this in the first half. One of the things the Penguins do exceptionally well, they box out on the glass.
Ball comes into Ollison. Cleveland State trying to pick up pressure. Pass to Rattan Mays, gives to Cohill, fires up the floor to Ollison in the forecourt. Gives to Hunter, far sideline, back to Ollison. Finds Rattan Mays. Hooks to Ollison, far sideline. Won't shoot the 3. Make the bounce pass to Hunter instead. He feeds to Akuche at the foul line. In on Johnson. Tried to throw to the cutting cup. Off the timeout, Cleveland State will have the ball, trailing 43-39. Less than 16 minutes left to play in the game here from Bigley. Torrey Patton out front with it for the Vikings. Gives to Demoy Hodge, who's hit a couple of 3s. Pass to Trey Gomillion, who finds Patton far sideline. Tries to get to the baseline, but will work to the right of the lane instead against Hunter. Turns, hooks one up, bounced across the basket. Rebound, fought for by Akuche and Johnson, who went over the Penguins' 5th-year senior's back. Deontay Johnson with his 2nd personal foul for Cleveland State. Team foul number 2 here in the half, and the ball will be given to Youngstown State.
Yet another perfect example of what happens when you box out. You can't go over the back, and that's exactly what CSU did.
Rattan Mays working up the floor. Through the center circle on Parker, into the lane, finds Hunter near sideline. Hunter feeds to Ogoro, who's come in for Cohill. Pass to Ollison now, back to Ogoro, right wing. Deals to Ollison, left wing, long three. Hit the front of the rim, no good. Rebound tapped out of play by Miles Hunter of Youngstown State. Knocked it away from Trey Gomillion. So the Vikings get the ball back down 4. Deshaun Parker will come into the forecourt now. Parker, center circle. Lobs to Hunter. Or lobs to Patton on Hunter. Patton by the screen of Johnson down the right of the lane. Gets underneath the basket where he's fouled. They're going to give that to Michael Akuche. Yep. And that's his third. He's got to be careful.
That's a great job by CSU. They knew that the switch was going to take place because of the pick that was set up by the foul line, and they went right at Akuche.
So Parker inbounds to Gomillion, fumbled it, got it back in the lane. Fadeaway jumper's perfect. Trey Gomillion now with 4 points. He didn't score in the first half. That was lacking for the Vikings, who now trail by only 2 at 43-41. Rattan Mays, in the meantime, slicing through the double team and gets fouled out front as he got by both Parker and Hodge, and it's Parker who fouls him. So the transfer out of Appalachian State has his second personal foul. 3 now against the Vikings in the half. 14:34 to go in the game. Youngstown State will inbound from the near sideline, up 2. First, though, Jason Woodridge will check in for Cleveland State. Trey Gomillion will sit down.
You know, I'm real surprised, Rob. Both teams have not made the adjustment. These officials are calling the game extremely tight. You have to make the adjustment.
Rattan Mays takes the inbounds pass. Left wing by Hunter. Fires to Ogoro. Back out front to Rattan Mays. Looking in on Cleveland State zone. He'll jack for the long 3 and nail it. Rattan Mays with his second 3, and that one from length. He's in double figures now for the 7th time this season. Prior to today, he'd only been in double figures in 1 out of the last 8 games as Cleveland State makes the Penguins pay for not getting back, as Deontay Johnson easily gets inside to ring up 2 quick ones on a dunk, putting him in double figures for the 6th time now with 10 points.
Blown coverage by the Penguins defensively.
YSU trying to answer, now leading by 3. Akuche, far side of the floor, working left baseline. Underneath the basket, got it to Ogoro, near corner 3, bang, bang. Daniel Ogoro with a 3. He was only 1 of 8 from beyond the arc in his last 5 games. And YSU with its second 3 here in the half. And then on the drive, a foul ensues. Now Cleveland State can get it up the floor quick. 13:40 to play in the contest.
I think they're going to get Miles Hunter, and that's going to be his 4th foul, Rob.
Yep, that's it. You're exactly right. So Hunter now with 4. Dwayne Cohill will come in to take his spot for YSU. Meantime, Torrey Patton will come out of Cleveland State's lineup. Gomillion comes back in, takes the inbounds pass against Ogoro, left of the lane. Spins, trying to go up and under, scooped it up and in. Nice move by Gomillion to turn around Ogoro. Gomillion now with 6 for Cleveland State, which trails 49-45.
That was a solid up and under.
Rattan Mays down the right of the lane, throws up his runner, tried to bank it in, could not do so, but drew contact and the foul. And you're right, the parade continues. The foul against Deshaun Parker, his 3rd. So Shamar Rattan Mays will go to the line. He's got 10 points today. Came in averaging 7.5 a game to go at 2 rebounds in contest. Last year against Cleveland State, he averaged 14 points and 3 assists in the 2 meetings. First trip to the line for Rattan Mays. Free throw for him is good.
Honestly, Rob, if I'm YSU, I'm going to push the level up a little bit and have Rattan Mays take the ball to the basket. By doing so, he's going to draw a contact. And the way the officials are calling this game, he's going to live at the free throw line the rest of the day.
He's a 79.5% free throw shooter, makes them both, has now converted 17 consecutive free throws for Youngstown State, which leads 51-45. Coming up on 13 minutes left to play now. Deontay Johnson out front with it for Cleveland State. Gets the ball to Parker in the lane against Rattan Mays. Pump fakes, draws a double team. Feed to Johnson. He pumps, shoots, and scores and draws the foul. So Deontay Johnson having a really good start to the second half. Now with 12 points overall, 8 of them coming here in the first 7 minutes of the half.
Oh boy, Michael just picked up his fourth.
It's on Akuche. Will Dunn's going to come in for the Penguins to replace Akuche, who will go to the bench with 2 points and 4 fouls. Akuche still needs 6 points to reach 1,000 in his career. In the meantime, Deshaun Parker will get a breather for Cleveland State. They'll bring in Yahil Hill. Johnson misses the free throw. Rebounded Tevin Ollison for YSU. Penguins leading 51-47. Dwayne Cohill in the forecourt, gives to Rattan Mays. Pushes it to Cohill. Makes the pass, now to Agoro, far sideline, bounce to Ollison, left of the lane. Ollison, fadeaway 13-footer, no good. Rebound knocked out of play. Last touch by Cleveland State. Will Dunn did a good job to disrupt that. The Penguins maintain possession. Torrey Patton coming right back in, though, for Cleveland State.
Well, Rob, I'm going to tell you right now, this next few minutes, when Akuche comes back into the game, these next few minutes are going to be the biggest few minutes in Will Dunn's career at YSU.
Cohill inbounds to Dunn, left of the lane, into traffic. Looked at a shot, then decided to pick the ball up. Now pushes it up, left it short, thought he got fouled. Rebound to Woodrich of Cleveland State. To Patton, in on Dunn, scooped it up. Shot's good off the glass. Torrey Patton with his first 2 points in the second half. Penguins come right back down the floor. Cohill on the pass down the floor. Clears to Agoro, got it to Rattan Mays right wing. Looks at a three, but won't shoot it. Instead, drive on Hill. To the left of the lane, got his man in the air. Turnaround jumper, good. Shamar Rattan Mays now with 14 points. He's picked up the slack. Luke Chacon unable to play today because of a hand injury. And Rattan Mays has answered the call. YSU leading 53-49. Patton left of the lane on Ogoro, trying to muscle one up. Took the shot. Ogoro partially blocked it, but also committed the foul. Daniel Ogoro with 3 now. Stops play with 12:04 to go, and this may be a war of attrition, Ron. Who's got the better depth?
Well, and right now, Cleveland State's doing exactly what I said that Shamar Rattan Mays should do. Just take the ball to the basket, draw the foul, and live at the free throw line.
Patton nails his first one, now 1 of 2 from the line today. 7 points overall. Transfer out of Akron has his team to within 3. Patton again, line to the left. Made them both. Cleveland State trails 53-51. They'll pick up pressure here as well. They try to trap Rattan Mays, who throws the ball to Dwayne Cohill. Coming up the floor against Demoy Hodge through the center circle. Cohill trying to figure out who to get it to. He'll drive on Hodge down the left of the lane, right to the basket, scoop it up, no good. 11:46 to go in the game. Youngstown State 53, Cleveland State 51. Both teams still with 3 timeouts left, both teams with 5 fouls. Possession arrow in favor of YSU as Dwayne Cohill steps to the line off the timeout and bounces in his first free throw. Here he's now 5 of 5 from the line. Today has 14 points overall. Cohill trying to match his Horizon League high in scoring this season. Next one goes up, that one goes in. He's got 15 today, matching what he scored in the win at Green Bay back in December. YSU on top, 55-51. All right, Hill into the forecourt with it for the Vikings. Gives to Patton, far sideline. Fires it into Gomillion. Catch, shoot, shot blocked by Cohill. Grabs it for YSU. Working through traffic into the forecourt. Lost the dribble, goes back to get it. Hodge quickly on him, but now he'll back off. 11.5 minutes to go in the game. Cohill out front, middle of the floor. To the left wing, tried to drive, nothing there. Wanted to make a pass to Dunn and tried to pull it back and got called for the double dribble.
Boy, Demoy Hodge was the guy that was responsible for that. He jumped right into the passing lane and got Cohill to double dribble.
All right, Hill into the forecourt, gives to Patton. We approach 11 minutes left to play in the game. Pass to Hodge, out front to Gomillion. Far side of the floor. Motioning for Patton to cut away. Gomillion right wing to the foul line. Turning on Will Dunn, turning again, throws it up, banked it in again. He's really good at that. Trey Gomillion with 8 points now for Cleveland State, which trails 55-53.
Yeah, Gomillion has a solid up and under move. Plenty of moves by that young man.
All right, Cohill out front directing YSU's offense. Scoops the ball to Rattan Mays. Working in on that zone. Pass to Agoro, back out to Mays. Middle of the floor, fakes the 3 on Hodge. Heads to the foul line. Stops, finds Will Dunn left wing. Dunn pushes the ball to Ollison, left of the lane. Got himself set, takes the shot. Partially blocked by Johnson. and then Ollison grabbed him and committed the foul out of frustration. So the foul on Ollison, his second. One more against Youngstown State, and they go over the limit. 10:27 to play in the game. Cleveland State gets the ball down 2. We were only tied once in the first half at 6. Cleveland State's last lead came at 14-12. All right, Patton out front with the ball on Ollison as we approach the midway point of the second half. Patton out front. Ollison riding him pretty good down the right lane to the basket. Ollison tried to strip it and could not do so. Instead called for the foul. So Ollison now with 3, and the Penguins are over the limit. Ollison saying that Patton's hooking him. Just giving the official the heads up here. So Torrey Patton will go to the line where he's 2 of 3 today. Patton with 8 points overall. Patton has scored double figures in 4 straight games for Cleveland State, 8 times overall. Patton will have 2 charity tosses here, trying to get to double figures. Pushes the first one up, in and out, no good.
Rob, this is where Cleveland State struggles. Just 68% as a team, near the bottom of the Horizon League. If there's a kryptonite, this is it.
They're 2 of 5 as a team from the line in the second half. Patton's next one to split the pair is good. So he's got 9 points. Cleveland State to within 1. Penguins going to work up the floor. Dwayne Cohill gives to Rattan Mays into the forecourt. Near side right wing, open 3. Bang, bang. Shamar Rattan Mays with his 3rd 3. That's a new single game high for him. He's got himself 17 points. That's a new single game high. Earlier this year, he had scored 15 twice, but that 3 is then followed by an official's whistle.
You got to reset the 30-second clock that was at 17. They got to move it to 27.
Rattan Mays with that field goal elevates YSU's lead now to 4. 9:50 to play in the game. Johnson takes the inbounds pass. Scoops it to Hodge, left wing. He can shoot the 3 and doesn't bury it. Demoy Hodge answers with his 3rd 3. He's made as many as 4 in a game, and he's got himself 13 points for Cleveland State. Penguins looking to answer. Agoro for 3. Good from the far sideline. Agoro's 2nd 3. 3rd time this year he has hit 2 in a game. 8 points for Agoro as we trade 3s now. The forecourt, Hill with it, top of the lane, down the left of the lane on Will Dunn. Hill underneath the basket. No reverse layup. Almost dribbled the ball off his flip, but it went off of the Penguins instead. 9:17 to go in the contest. $15 to shoot for Cleveland State. Hill from the left baseline. Lobs it out to Torrey Patton, right wing, inside the 3-point line. Trying to drive on Ollison into the lane, turning, still turning, forced up the 13-footer, no good. Rebound, Rattan Mays of Youngstown State. Clears to Dwayne Cohill. 9 minutes to play in the game. Penguins with a 2-possession advantage right now. Rattan Mays in the forecourt. Hodge shadowing him. Rattan Mays works to the near sideline now, picked up by Patton. Rattan Mays, right baseline, underneath the basket, whips the ball to Ollison, saves it out front. Cohill couldn't get it away from Hodge. Bad pass leads to a breakout. Hill to the hoop. Goes in against Agoro, who fouled him, but Hill could not make the lay-in. He'll just have 2 free throws instead. Daniel Agoro now with 4 fouls.
Agoro looking to set his feet real quick to try to get an offensive foul. Not even close to getting those feet set. Now we're going to get Shelton back into the game for the Penguins.
Agoro, Hunter, and Akuche each with 4 fouls apiece for YSU as Agoro there called for the block. It will place Hill at the line where he's 2 of 2 today. The only scoring he's done is his free throw here is in and out, no good. So Jason Woodrich will check in for Cleveland State, spelling Torrey Patton. Chris Shelton into the game for YSU, as Ron had mentioned, for Daniel Agoro.
CSU unofficially 50% from the free throw line. If they lose this game, Rob, this is going to be the reason why.
Next one for Hill is on the money. Splits the pair, gives him 3 points in the game. Cleveland State down 61 to 58. Penguins working up the floor. Rattan Mays chased by Hill and Hodge. Throws the ball back to Cohill. Comes across the timeline. 8.5 minutes to go in the game. This one's going to the wire. Cohill gives to Ollison by the Dunn screen. Ollison down the right of the lane on the run against Hodge. Scooped it up. No good. Tap, no. And the rebound to Johnson. Gives to Hodge of Cleveland State. Throws it ahead to Hill. Makes the catch to the basket. Laid it in. Hill now with 5 points. And Cleveland State has gotten back to State 61-60.
There's plenty of teams that are going to make a really serious run in the Horizon tournament.
All right, Dwayne Cohill will come up the floor as Cleveland State drops back defensively. Ball scooped to Shamar Ratenme. He's got it to Cohill. Cohill looking to run down the right lane. Stops alone. Going to scoop one up off the back of the rim. A little too hard. Tap no good. Ball batted around. Johnson grabs it for Cleveland State. Clears to Hill. Hill going to throw it down the floor to Johnson. Got the ball to Gomillion, who had a tough shot. Actually, the pass went to Hodge back in the first half. Hill from the left baseline. Throws into Gomillion. Near sideline against Ollison. Pushes the ball to Hodge off the screen. Shoots but missed. Rebound, Will Dunn, but Johnson went over him. Knocked it out to Hodge. He runs down the right of the lane, shoots and scores off the glass. Tamoy Hodge now with 15 points, and Cleveland State has the lead at 62-61. 7.5 to play in the contest now. Penguins trying to answer. Rattan Mays picked up his dribble, gives to Cohill at the center circle. 15 to shoot. Cohill against Hodge. Cohill bounced the ball to Will Dunn, right wing. Dunn looking to drive, spins into the lane, going to force one up on the rim and in. Will Dunn, who had played 8 minutes at Oakland. That was the most he had played in any one game against a Division I opponent up until today. He's got his first 2 with some timely minutes, and the Penguins get the lead back at 63-62. Under 7 minutes to play now. Woodridge out front with it for Cleveland State, gets it to Gomillion. Finds Hill near sideline. Top side, Gomillion. He'll run down the right of the lane. Got ahead of steam, but he can't get the runner. Went off the glass and off the rim, and the rebound to Ollison of YSU. Gives to Rattan Mays, who hustles into the forecourt. Working on Woodridge into the near sideline. Finds Dunn. Throws top side now to Cohill. 20 to shoot for YSU. 6:30 to go in the game. Penguins have the lead back by 1. Cohill bounced to Dunn inside, ran over, nope, didn't run over. Jason Woodridge tried to draw the charge. Dunn leaned into him, and Woodridge fouled him. Jason Woodridge with his second. He's wanting to get an explanation on that call. For Cleveland State, team foul number 6. Penguins will inbound from the right baseline, still leading 63-62. Cohill. Got to hurry to throw it in. Bad pass intended for Shelton. Hits me in the right arm. That's not where you want the ball to be.
I was thinking the ball was going to go closer to the tie line.
Could have knocked us off the air.
Boy, you're not kidding.
Thank goodness I had the right arm free. Thought Michael Orto would jump in front and pick that thing off.
Mike was sitting here going, it's all you, Rob. It's all you.
All right, Cleveland State trying to take advantage now. Hill, middle of the floor, lobs the ball at Deontay Johnson, right wing. Fakes the handoff to Hill. Dunn steps up on Johnson. Ball given to Hill. They try to run the pick and roll. Hill into the lane now. Got by Dunn. Scooped it up. Off the glass too hard. Rebound on the floor. Grabbed by Dunn of Youngstown State. Penguins control the ball, leading by 1.
And Will Dunn altered that shot, Rob, and was able to get the rebound.
Cohill gives to Shelton. Bounce to Dunn. Now right baseline. Dunn working on Deontay Johnson. Makes the pass out to Cohill, who cut towards him. The ball goes over his head and into the backcourt. And the Penguins turn it over. Will Dunn's not played a lot this season, so they don't know how to read one another as well as they may.
Yeah, he thought he was going to get Cohill in the front court. Cohill was taken off toward the basket.
So Cleveland State still trailing 63-62. Will get the ball. Near sideline, Hill throws into Deontay Johnson. Now to Tamoy Hodge, 15 to shoot. Ball thrown to Hill, right wing by Hodge, top of the lane. Hill looking for Gomillion, but he'll throw to Johnson instead. Johnson left of the lane, 8 to shoot. Scoops the ball to Gomillion. Left of the lane, runs the alley-oop. Catch by Johnson wasn't clean. He lost the ball, but got fouled on the shot attempt.
Now Cohill gets the foul. I'm impressed with Cohill's hops. Boy, he jumped high in the air to make sure that that alley-oop wasn't going to get thrown down.
So Deontay Johnson, who's really good at that, will now go to the free throw line. Johnson, the senior out of Detroit, 12 points today, but he's 0 of 2 from the free throw line. 5:30 to play in the game. His first of 2 here, however, is perfect. Deontay Johnson's best game of the season came against Northern Kentucky last month when he had 14 points. His best game in his career against Detroit Mercy, where he rang up 15. Deontay Johnson trying to tie his single game high this season with this free throw. He has tied the game at 63 and given his team the 64-63 lead on the strength of 2 made free throws, and he now has 14 points as Rattan Mays comes up the floor against Hodge, gives to Ollison in the forecourt, back to Rattan Mays. Penguins down 1 here. Rattan Mays near side of the floor against Demoy Hodge. Rattan Mays throws to Shelton out front. Can't get off the 3. He'll drive instead. Throw up the floater and put it in. Chris Shelton now with 5 points. And YSU leads 65-64. It's our 5th lead change of the day. 4 of them here in a very short span of time. Hill knocked Rattan Mays to the floor, no call, but then he missed the lay-in and the ball comes out to Cohill of Youngstown State. I think he found himself a little too wide open and expected a whistle, and he didn't get it. Cohill now in the forecourt with it for the Penguins, who are up 65-64. Cohill gives the ball to Rattan Mays. Far sideline against Johnson to the baseline, and he's pushed and fouled, and free throws coming for the Penguins sophomore. Foul against Deontay Johnson, his 3rd. Penguins now in the bonus. 4:35 to go in the contest. Shamar Rattan Mays with a solid effort here today. 14 points in the game. Rattan Mays also with 3 rebounds and an assist. 2 of 2 from the stripe. The Ontario Kennedy native drops that one straight through. 18 points for him now. So Deshaun Parker returns for Cleveland State. Yahil Hill will sit down. Penguins lead at 2. Rattan Mays already with a career-high tying 18 points. Give him 19. That surpasses the 18 he had last year against West Virginia Tech. A new career high in scoring for Rattan Mays as YSU leads 67-64. All right, Parker in the forecourt with it for the Vikings. Gives to Gomillion. He wants the ball. Against Ollison, near side left wing. Gomillion looking to drive to the right of the lane. Left wide open, won't shoot. Give to Woodrich, near sideline 3, and he pushed it off the back of the rim. Rebound, knocked out, though, to Parker. Gives to Hodge, far sideline. His 3's good. Demoy Hodge with his 4th possession, arrow points in favor of the Penguins, who will get the ball off the timeout. Rattan Mays will come up the floor, working on a career high in scoring. They try to trap him in the backcourt. He stops, needing to give the ball to Tevin Ollison, and finally does. Ollison gives it right back to Rattan Mays, who's directing traffic out front as Michael Akuche returns for Youngstown State. He gets the ball and gives to Cohill near sideline. 12 to shoot for YSU. Cleveland State sitting in that zone. Ball thrown to Ollison left wing. Fakes the 3, drives on Parker to the foul line. Feeds it to Cohill, who saved it from going out of play. Cohill with 3 to shoot. Elevates for 3. In and out, no good. Rebound followed by Ollison. He couldn't get it to go, but he got fouled in the process. Ollison skying for that miss.
Cohill may have twisted an ankle. He landed awkwardly on that ankle.
Foul on Jason Woodrich. That'll be his 3rd, and it will place Tevin Ollison of Youngstown State at the free throw line. Ollison today 3 of 4 from the stripe. He has 11 points overall.
Coach Gates not too happy with that call. He calmly went over and asked the official.
Ollison pushes the first one straight through for his 12th point. Youngstown State gets the lead at 1. Ollison again, shooting 77% from the line against the league, nails them both. 2 clutch free throws there for the Penguins, who now lead 69-67. 3:30 to play in the game. Gomillion with it for Cleveland State, gives to Hodge near sideline. Out front to Johnson. Now to Gomillion, ball knocked away by Hunter, who comes in. He goes over the back, commits the foul, and that will do it for Miles Hunter. So Hunter tried to overplay it defensively, instead picks up his 5th foul of the day. He will exit permanently with 5 points to his credit as Miles Hunter fouls out with 3:25 to play in the game. Trey Gomillion will go to the line for the first time today. Gomillion, 8 points so far this afternoon as Chris Shelton comes in for the Penguins. At the free throw line this year, he is a 61% shooter, but better against the league, having made 75% of his attempts. Gomillion He'll get 2 free throws here. First one, off the back of the rim, no good. Gomillion's brother, Corey, plays collegiate basketball at Mercer. Good family. A good ball player. Trey Gomillion's next one finds the mark. Splits the pair, now has 9 points in the game. Cleveland State trailing 69-68. 3:20 to go in the contest. Cohill working up the far sideline. Gives to Tevin Ollison of the Penguins in the forecourt. Back to Dwayne Cohill. Working towards the center circle. Pass to Rattan Mays. Cleveland State still in that zone. Cohill to Rattan Mays' right wing. Rattan Mays by Ollison. 10 to shoot now. Middle of the floor. Pass to Cohill. Cohill looking for Akuche. Nothing there yet. Out front with 5 to shoot. Rattan Mays down the right of the lane through traffic. Scooped it up and in off the glass with 1 on the shot clock. Rattan Mays with 21 points. Youngstown State leads 71-68. 2:45 to go in the game now. Out front, Deshaun Parker with it for Cleveland State. Gives to Woodridge, far sideline. Woodridge bounces to Johnson near the top of the lane. Works to the near side, scoops the ball to Parker at the foul line. Drives inside, scooped it up, on the rim, rolled in. Deshaun Parker with his first basket of the second half, now with 11 points overall. Just the second time this season he has scored double digits for the Vikings. In fact, it's a new single game high for him with 11.
And Parker's finding that mismatch with Rattan Mays. Lore.
Now we'll see if the Penguins can convert here. 19 to shoot. Rattan Mays takes the inbounds pass, guarded by Parker. Rattan Mays gives to Akuche. He's been quiet. They double team him, give to Cohill. Penetrates, throws the ball to Rattan Mays. Out to Ollison, open 3. No, too strong. Rebound run down by Akuche, however, offensively. Going to take it to the left of the lane. Feed to Ollison. Underneath, lost it. Cohill picks it up. On the right baseline with 14 to shoot. Cohill looking to drive, nothing there. 10 to shoot. He'll bring it back out front for the Penguins. Under 2 minutes to go in the game. Cohill stumbles to the right of the lane. 5 to shoot. Turning offensive foul to Dwayne Cohill. That'll turn it over to Cleveland State for Cohill, just his second personal. 1:46 to go in the game. Daniel Agoro is going to come in for YSU, better defender than Chris Shelton, who's a better offensive player, and he'll sit down. All right, Cleveland State going to come up the floor with a chance to take the lead now. Parker in the forecourt. Goes by the Gomillion screen to the near sideline. Back around Gomillion. Parker drives in on Akuche. Bounce past Johnson. Up for the shot and scores off the glass. Deontay Johnson with 16 points. New season and career high for him in scoring. Cleveland State leading 72-7. Gomillion, Deontay Johnson. Demoy Hodge, Jason Woodridge, and Deshaun Parker. Ball goes into the backcourt to Dwayne Cohill. Penguins need to play smart here. Cohill out front. Cohill by Akuche's screen. To the near side right wing. Picked up now by Johnson. Cohill drives to the basket. Takes the shot, scores.
CSU switching to a man-to-man defense, and the Penguins able to respond.
Cohill shooting over Johnson now with 17 points. Penguins lead 73-72. Under a minute to go in the game now. Out front, Parker with it for Cleveland State against Ollison by the double screen. Heads to the foul line, pushes the ball to Gomillion. 50 seconds left in the game. Gomillion, middle of the floor. 13 to shoot to the left of the lane against Akuche. Turning, 10 to shoot. Can't get off the shot. Finally does. Flipped it up on the rim. No good. Rebound on the floor. Grabbed by Cohill of Youngstown State. Working up the court now against Gomillion. Cohill trying to draw contact and a foul, but he'll bring it across the timeline instead. 30 seconds to go in the game. Cohill out front on Gomillion, who takes a swipe at the ball and then reaches inside and commits the foul. Gomillion with his 4th foul, stopped play with 26.9 seconds to go in the contest. YSU leading by 1 as Dwayne Cohill goes to the line. He's the guy you would want at the stripe. Cohill today with 17 points, most he has scored against a Horizon League opponent. The transfer out of Dayton has scored as many as 20 in a game. That was in a win over Central Michigan. Cohill, line to the right, trying to give his team a full 3-point lead here. He's got the 1-and-1 coming. Cohill's first, perfect. 18 for Cohill, now 7 of 7 from the line today. Penguins lead at 2. Cohill again, good again. Cohill has now made 18 consecutive free throws for YSU, which leads 75-72.
Got to play tough perimeter defense here.
Gamillion gives to Hodge near sideline 3. Left it short. Rebound grab by Johnson. Got it to Hodge again near sideline 3. Good! With 14 seconds to go, we're tied at 75. Hodge does it again with his 5th 3. Penguins now in the forecourt. 6 seconds to go. We'll see what Coach Calhoun has cooked up off the inbounds pass. It's a slob. Looking, throws in. Cohill gonna run to the basket, scoop it up, put it on the rim, no! Tap, no! They still got a chance. Rebound, Hill, we're going to overtime.
Fouls for CSU.
Penguins traveling left to right in overtime. Akuche against Johnson, opening tap, swatted to our right, run down by the Vikings, Deshaun Parker. He'll now jog up the floor at the forecourt by Cohill.
Penguins in the man-to-man defense.
Ball thrown to Hodge. He sent the game to overtime with a 3. Gives to Gamillion, near side left wing. Runs the alley-oop, tough catch by Johnson. Fumbled it. Cleveland State's Deshaun Parker got it, and as he goes up for a shot, he's fouled. So the foul assessed to Tevin Ollison. That'll be his 4th. 2 free throws coming now for Parker of Cleveland State. Regulation, the game was tied on 4 separate occasions. We ended up with 7 lead changes in regulation. Parker's first of 2 creates our 8th lead change of the day, giving Cleveland State the early advantage in overtime. Parker again, no good off the back of the rim, and the rebound snatched away by Akuche of Youngstown State. All right, Rattan Mays into the forecourt. Motioning for Cohill to go away. Rattan Mays runs by Akuche to the near sideline now. Rattan Mays picked up by Johnson. Ball bounced to Cohill. On Woodridge, trying to take him off the dribble. He'll pull up instead for the mid-range jumper and miss it. Rebound to Gamillion of Cleveland State. They lead 76-75 as we approach 4 minutes left in overtime. Parker into the forecourt with it for the Vikings. Out front on Ollison, who has 4 fouls. Ball thrown to Gamillion, near side left wing. Throws it right back to Parker with 15 to shoot. Ball pushed topside to Woodridge. Around the screen, double team, trying to get rid of the ball. Still turning, in trouble with 7 to shoot. He's gonna jack the 3, it's off the rim. Rebound to Gamillion with 1 hand. Turning inside on Rattan Mays. His attempt won't fall, and the rebound to Akuche of YSU. Clears to Rattan Mays. Ahead to Cohill along the far sideline. Cohill to the left of the lane. Underneath, reverse layup, no good, he forced it. Ball grabbed by Gamillion of Cleveland State. Hurries up the floor, gives to Parker, whips the ball to Woodridge. Near corner 3 for him is short. Rebound, grabbed underneath by Gamillion, throws it out to Hodge. Right wing 3, no good off the back of the rim. Ball tapped out instead to Parker. Alone for a 3 from the left wing, and that's no good off the rim. Rebound, fought for, grabbed by Gamillion. Bounces to Hodge on the drive, threw the ball over the basket, but got fouled. And the Penguins just cannot grab a rebound. So the foul against Cohill, his 3rd. Boy, Trey Gamillion and the rest of the Vikings just kept going at it until they finally get a chance for some free throws here.
Rob, this is the reason why Cleveland State is such a good basketball team. They're just a very relentless group of guys.
They've out-rebounded the Penguins today 45-31. Hodge at the free throw line for the first time, misses the charity toss. He's got 23 points overall as Trey Gamillion will come out of the lineup for Cleveland State. He'll give way to Yahil Hill. Vikings still only leading by 1 with 3:08 to go in overtime. Hodge again. That one's good. Splits the pair. Vikings up 77-75. All right, Rattan Mays working up the floor now against Cleveland State's defense. Across the timeline, he'll come to the near side of the floor. Rattan Mays gives to Michael Akuche, hands off to Cohill. Cohill feeds one open, Akuche. Inside, lost the ball on the way up because he was fouled. They'll give it to Demoy Hodge. His 2nd personal foul gets Akuche to the free throw line. Otherwise, Akuche was wide open for the basket. He can tie the game here with 2 free throws. Akuche, first trip to the stripe, 2 points overall. He's an 84% free throw shooter for the season. His first one on the money. against the league now. Akuche shooting 90% from the stripe. Hill comes out for Gomillion in Cleveland State's lineup. 2:53 to go in overtime. Akuche trying to tie the game for the 5th time this afternoon. Standing line to the right. Next one goes in the air. In and out, no good. Big miss in the rebound to Cleveland State, which leads 77-76. 2:48 to play in overtime. Parker in the forecourt near sideline. Ogoro, now Allison on him. Parker draws Akuche. He'll back off to the wing. 15 to shoot. Parker drives down the right of the lane. Up with the shot, scores. Deshaun Parker now with 14 points. Big basket there. Cleveland State leading 79-76. They try to trap Rattan Mays. Ball given to Akuche, far sideline. Pushes to Allison down the left of the lane into traffic. Looked like he got away with a walk, but he missed the attempt. No foul call. Rebound Cleveland State, and they're racing it. Hodge to the basket. Scooped it up and in. Will they give him the basket? I think they will. Penguins wanted a foul on the other end. Cleveland State gets the call instead on their end of the floor. So Hodge gets credit for the basket. That gives him 26 points now. Foul against Rattan Mays, his 3rd. Hodge going to the line. Cleveland State leading by 5. Their largest lead in the first half was 6. They hardly ever led in the second half. Hodge is the reason we're in overtime. He had 2 chances at a 3 from the near corner and made it on the second attempt, and then the Penguins misfired on a runner at the end of regulation. Hodge's free throw is perfect. He's got 27 today. Cleveland State now leading 82-76, matching their largest advantage of the afternoon. 2 minutes to go in overtime now. Ball thrown to Cohill, out front to Rattan Mays, top of the lane. Gives to Cohill. He'll penetrate. Up with the floater against Johnson. In and out, no good. Tap, good by Akuche. Big follow there by the Penguins' 5th-year senior. YSU will take its timeout now, trailing
all day. Penguins are going to put some backcourt pressure on.
Ball goes into Gomillion. They try to trap him in the backcourt. Tries to step through the double team, lost the ball, got it back. Feeds to Hodge. He'll now hold on to it and give it to Gomillion in the forecourt. Gomillion throws the ball now to Parker, who will work the clock. 15 to shoot for Cleveland State. Parker, far side of the floor against Ogoro. In front of his own bench now, 8 to shoot. Parker to the right of the lane, gonna go inside, take the shot. Offensive foul against Deshaun Parker, called for the charge as Ogoro stood his ground on that one.
Yeah, that was a good job by Daniel Ogoro. His feet were set like cement, Rob. No-brainer call by the official.
4th foul against Parker. The charge gives each team a chance to make a change. Gomillion sits down in favor of Hill. That's because Gomillion has 4 fouls. Shelton in for Youngstown State instead of Ogoro, a better 3-point shooter. Allison quickly in the forecourt. Down the left of the lane, got to the basket, scooped it up on the rim, fell through for him. Allison now with 15 points. Penguins to within 2 at 82-80. 1:15 to go here in overtime. Hill in the forecourt, gives to Parker. Coming up on a minute left in OT. Parker near side of the floor against Rattan Mays.
And you know Parker wants to use a screen to take Rattan Mays to the basket.
Akuche on him. Now Allison intercepts a pose. He overplayed the pass. Got it to Akuche. Bounced too far out in front of Allison and out of bounds. Allison did a great chance to overplay it defensively and come up with the interception. And then YSU turns it right back over in their haste to get to the basket.
Akuche thought that he had a trailer in Allison, and it just went right by him.
So Cleveland State still leading 82-80 with 53.6 seconds to go in overtime. All right, Parker going to walk it up the floor now for CSU.
Yeah, they need some D right here, right now. Allison on Parker.
Penguins have had 2 stops. It's given them a chance to get back in this after falling behind by 6. Parker out front, 15 to shoot. Top of the lane. Parker at the foul line, throws it out to Gomillion, 10 to shoot. Gomillion on Ogoro. Gomillion inside, pushes the ball to Parker, goes left baseline, underneath, almost threw it away. Does he? He did. He threw it away. Just by going to the replay monitor. Ball thrown into Rattan Mays. Hodge and Parker trying to double team him in the backcourt. trying to slice through the double team. Turning, bounce the ball to Cohill. Got to hurry up the floor and does. Bounce the ball ahead to Akuche to the basket. Put it up on the rim. No, ball batted around. Knocked to the baseline. It will go out of bounds. All right, Parker from the near corner. Baseball pass down the floor. Catch by Hodge. Going to run to the basket. Missed the shot. Ogoro fouled him. And it's a hard foul as Cleveland State leaves its bench.
It's going to be an intentional foul. The officials already called it.
6 seconds remaining. All right, the Vikings to inbound. Ball goes into Hodge. Makes the catch. Shoots. Scores. Little icing on the cake for Demoy Hodge, who has now matched his single-game high in scoring this year with 31. He had it against Oklahoma State as Ollison's three is off the mark.